Have you found yourself avoiding a walk in the park or giving up on climbing stairs because your legs just don't respond like they used to? A recent study from Harvard University revealed that 78% of Americans over 65 report some degree of leg discomfort or weakness, significantly limiting their independence and quality of life. But here's the news that could change your perspective. This frailty is not an inevitable part of aging. Difficulty moving around, joint pain, and constant fatigue in the legs may have a cause that's rarely addressed in traditional medical consultations. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic discovered that specific nutritional deficiencies are directly linked to the loss of muscle strength and mobility in people over 60. And surprisingly, most of these deficiencies can be corrected with simple adjustments to daily nutrition. Your body is an extraordinary machine that never stops regenerating, even after your 60s, 70s, or 80s. Every cell, every muscle fiber, every joint in your legs keeps seeking the essential nutrients it needs to function fully. When it doesn't receive these vital elements, it sends signals that we often mistakenly interpret as just part of aging. Imagine your legs like a luxury car. No matter how old it is, with the right fuel and proper maintenance, it can keep running smoothly for decades. The vitamins and minerals we'll explore today are exactly the premium fuel your legs have been silently asking for. The good news is that it's never too late to refuel your body. A groundbreaking study from the National Institute on Aging confirmed that even in people in their 90s, specific vitamin supplementation led to measurable gains in strength, balance, and mobility within just 90 days. These results completely challenge our traditional understanding of the human body's limits in old age. Today, we'll uncover the secrets of 6 powerful nutrients that form the foundation of your legs' health and vitality. We're not just talking about preventing problems. We're talking about actively restoring the strength, flexibility, and comfort you may have thought were lost forever. Each of these nutrients works in a unique way to support the muscles, nerves, bones, and blood vessels that make up your leg's complex system. Science has made enormous strides in understanding how certain natural compounds can literally reverse cellular damage caused by aging. Dr. Sarah Johnson, a gerontologist at Johns Hopkins Medicine, states, "Targeted nutrition is the most promising frontier in fighting the effects of aging on the musculoskeletal system." Her research shows it's never too late to start this transformation. Get ready to discover how vitamin D, often called the sunshine vitamin, goes far beyond just bone health. It plays a direct role in muscle strength and the balance that keeps you moving safely. You'll understand why vitamin B12 is crucial for communication between your brain and your legs, and how its deficiency might be causing that bothersome, heavy legs sensation. Vitamin D is often called the sunshine vitamin for a good reason. Your body produces it naturally when your skin is exposed to sunlight. But what many don't know is that it acts more like a hormone than a traditional vitamin, orchestrating vital functions that keep your legs strong and steady. As you age, your skin produces about 70% less vitamin D than it did at 20 years old, creating a silent deficiency that directly affects your mobility. This vitamin is the conductor that governs the absorption of calcium and phosphorus in your intestines, minerals essential for building the structure of your bones. Without adequate vitamin D, you could consume all the calcium in the world and still your bones wouldn't be able to use it properly. A groundbreaking study from the University of Wisconsin demonstrated that seniors with optimal vitamin D levels had bones comparable in density and strength to people 15 years younger. But its role goes far beyond bone health. Researchers at the National Institutes of Health discovered that there are specific vitamin D receptors in the muscle cells of your legs. When activated, these receptors boost the synthesis of proteins that create new muscle fibers and strengthen existing ones. In practical terms, this means vitamin D not only prevents muscle loss associated with aging, a condition known as sarcopenia, but also helps rebuild strength you may have lost. Imagine your muscles as a building that constantly needs maintenance. Vitamin D is both the engineer supervising the repairs and the building material needed to reinforce the structure. Without it, cracks appear, stability weakens, and eventually, the whole structure is compromised. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society tracked 1,000 adults over 65 years old for 5 years and found something extraordinary. Those with adequate vitamin D levels experienced 30% fewer falls compared to participants with a deficiency. Why? Because this vitamin significantly improves muscle reaction time and balance, two crucial abilities that help you stay on your feet when you stumble or step on uneven surfaces. Now, you might be wondering, how can you ensure optimal levels of this vital nutrient? Moderate sun exposure remains an important source, About 15 to 20 minutes of direct sunlight on your legs and arms, ideally between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., can provide the necessary daily dose. However, factors like geographic location, pollution, sunscreen use, and skin pigmentation can dramatically limit this natural production. In terms of diet, your best bets are fatty fish like salmon, tuna, and mackerel, which not only supply vitamin D but also omega-3 fatty acids, creating a perfect synergy for joint health. Egg yolks contain smaller but significant amounts, especially from free-range chickens. UV-exposed shiitake mushrooms are another surprising source, along with fortified dairy products and cereals. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic recommend that people over 60 consider supplementation, especially during months with less sunlight. The ideal dosage varies between 1,000 and 2,000 IU daily for most adults, but your individual need might be higher depending on factors like advanced age, obesity, digestive issues, or use of certain medications. A simple blood test can determine your current levels and guide proper supplementation. The signs of vitamin D deficiency often show up first in the legs. Unexplained weakness climbing stairs, diffuse bone pains worsened by pressure, nighttime cramps that disturb your sleep, and a general feeling of instability while walking. Many people mistakenly attribute these symptoms to arthritis or normal aging, missing the opportunity to correct a treatable deficiency. Dr. Elizabeth Dawson, a rheumatologist at Stanford University, notes in her research, correcting vitamin D levels is one of the simplest and most effective interventions available to improve physical function in older adults. Her studies showed improvements in muscle strength in just 8 weeks after normalizing vitamin D levels. While vitamin D strengthens the structure of your body, vitamin B12 is the fuel that keeps the communication system between your brain and your legs running smoothly. This extraordinary vitamin, also known as cobalamin, plays a crucial role far beyond simply producing energy. It is fundamental to every single step you take. Think of your nervous system as a complex electrical network that instantly sends messages from your brain to every muscle in your legs. Vitamin B12 is responsible for maintaining this network perfectly insulated through a substance called myelin, a kind of protective sheath that covers your nerves. As you age, this protection naturally wears down, and without enough B12, this process accelerates dramatically, resulting in short-circuited or weakened nerve signals. Researchers from Tufts University found that up to 43% of adults over 60 have insufficient B12 levels, even when their blood tests show values within the normal range. This happens because traditional reference values were set only to prevent pernicious anemia, a severe condition, but they don't consider the ideal functioning of the neuromuscular system, which requires much higher levels. When communication between the brain and muscles is compromised by B12 deficiency, the first signs usually appear in the legs. Unexplained tingling, a sensation of pins and needles, numbness that starts in the feet and gradually rises, and a sense of instability while walking, often described as feeling like the ground is shifting. The most concerning part is that, if untreated, these nerve damages can become permanent over time. Another vital role of B12 is in the production of red blood cells, the cells responsible for transporting oxygen to your muscles. Without adequate oxygen, your legs experience early fatigue, a heavy sensation, and slower recovery after routine activities like climbing stairs or walking through a supermarket. A study conducted at Columbia University Medical Center showed that seniors with optimal B12 levels could walk, on average, 38% farther without resting compared to those with only marginal levels. What makes B12 deficiency particularly tricky is how slowly it develops over the years, with subtle symptoms that are often wrongly attributed to other conditions or simply to aging. Here's the challenge that few doctors explain well. It's not only your diet that determines your B12 levels, but also your ability to absorb it. To absorb the vitamin B12 naturally present in foods, your stomach must produce a substance called the intrinsic factor. After age 50, the production of this factor drops significantly. Up to 30% of people over 70 produce insufficient amounts. Moreover, commonly prescribed medications for reflux and stomach acidity, like proton pump inhibitors and H2 blockers, further reduce this absorption. The best dietary sources of B12 are exclusively of animal origin. Red meats, especially liver. Fish like salmon and tuna. Seafood, eggs, and dairy products. For vegetarians and vegans, fortified options like nutritional yeast, breakfast cereals, and plant-based milks with added B12 are available. However, due to the absorption challenges mentioned, many geriatric specialists from the Mayo Clinic recommend oral supplementation, or, in more severe cases, periodic B12 injections. Dr. Catherine Richardson, a neurologist at the University of Chicago, explains. B12 supplementation is one of the safest and potentially most transformative interventions for older adults with mobility problems. Her research documented significant improvements in balance and leg strength after just 3 months of correcting B12 levels. A fascinating and little-known aspect is that B12 works in tandem with folic acid, vitamin B9, and vitamin B6 to reduce the levels of a pro-inflammatory compound called homocysteine. High homocysteine levels are linked to damage in the small blood vessels that nourish the nerves and muscles of the legs. A study from the National Institutes of Health showed that the combination of these 3 B-complex vitamins not only improved nerve function but also accelerated muscle recovery after exercise in people over 65. While vitamin D strengthens your bones and B12 keeps your nervous system in order, vitamin C plays an equally crucial, though often underestimated, role in the health of your legs. It is the great architect of your joints. Behind every smooth and comfortable step you take lies an incredible structure of cartilage, tendons, and ligaments that completely depend on this powerful nutrient. What makes vitamin C so vital for your legs is its fundamental role in the production of collagen, a protein that acts as the biological cement, keeping your connective tissues flexible and resilient. When you bend your knee, stretch your ankle, or make any movement with your legs, it's collagen that allows those joints to work smoothly, without friction or pain. As we age, natural collagen production declines drastically, by about 1.5% per year after age 40. Without proper nutritional support, this leads to a cumulative 30% loss by age 70. Researchers at Harvard University demonstrated that optimal vitamin C levels can significantly slow this decline, preserving joint flexibility and functionality much longer. Imagine your joints like the hinges of a heavily used door. Over time, they naturally start to rust and squeak. Vitamin C acts like a high-quality lubricant, reducing that creaking and allowing for smoother and easier movements. This simple analogy perfectly illustrates how this nutrient supports your joints with every step you take. Dr. Jennifer Adams, a rheumatologist at Stanford University, explains. Vitamin C not only stimulates new collagen production but also stabilizes existing molecules, prolonging their life within the joints. Her clinical studies documented that patients with higher blood levels of this vitamin showed significantly less cartilage degradation over 5 years compared to those with moderate or low levels. Beyond its structural role, vitamin C is a powerful natural anti-inflammatory. Low-grade chronic inflammation is now recognized as one of the leading causes of age-related joint deterioration. An innovative study conducted by the Baltimore Aging Research Center showed that adequate daily vitamin C intake reduced specific inflammatory markers in the joints by 37%, providing not only prevention but also relief from existing discomforts. Its antioxidant properties also protect your joints against damage caused by free radicals, unstable molecules that naturally increase with age and are worsened by factors like pollution, stress, and poor diet. These molecules attack collagen and other essential joint components, accelerating their breakdown. Vitamin C neutralizes these attackers, creating a protective shield around your joint structures. Here's something few people realize. The need for vitamin C increases with age, while our body's ability to absorb and retain it decreases. Researchers at the University of California found that people over 65 require about 20% more vitamin C than younger adults to maintain equivalent physiological functions, a fact rarely considered in standard nutritional guidelines. But how much do you actually need? The Institute of Medicine recommends 75 to 90 milligrams daily for adults, but studies from the Mayo Clinic suggest that 200 to 400 milligrams daily is ideal for older adults aiming for optimal joint health. Fortunately, reaching these levels through diet is relatively easy and delicious. Red bell peppers top the list of vitamin C-rich foods. One medium-sized pepper contains about 150 milligrams, almost double the amount found in an orange. Other excellent sources include strawberries, kiwis, acerola cherries, and guava. Among vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and kale are also outstanding. The key is variety and consuming at least some of these foods raw, since prolonged cooking can destroy much of this heat-sensitive nutrient. If you choose supplementation, experts at Johns Hopkins University recommend buffered or liposomal forms of vitamin C, which are gentler on the digestive system and offer better absorption. Splitting the doses throughout the day can also improve utilization, as your body uses what it needs and eliminates the excess through urine. And here's a fascinating detail. Vitamin C works in perfect synergy with other nutrients we'll discuss next. It enhances the action of vitamin E, boosts bone formation induced by vitamin D, and complements the anti-inflammatory role of magnesium. This intelligent nutritional cooperation shows how your body was designed to function with a full spectrum of nutrients, not isolated elements. If there were a maestro vitamin coordinating the entire nutritional orchestra that keeps your legs healthy, vitamin K2 would be a strong candidate. Often overshadowed by more famous nutrients, this extraordinary vitamin plays a unique and irreplaceable role. It decides exactly where calcium should go in your body. And this decision makes all the difference between having strong, agile legs and fragile, painful ones. Think of vitamin K2 as a smart traffic controller, directing calcium precisely into your bones and teeth, while actively blocking it from accumulating where it shouldn't, like in your arteries, soft tissues, and joints. Without enough K2, the calcium you consume, even with optimal vitamin D levels, could actually end up harming you rather than helping. Researchers from Tufts University found that K2 activates a protein called osteocalcin, which acts like a calcium magnet for your bones. At the same time, it activates another protein called MGP, matrix GLA protein, which acts like a protective shield, preventing calcium from being deposited in artery walls. This dual action makes K2 absolutely unique among all known nutrients. Dr. Michael Hollick, endocrinologist and pioneering vitamin researcher at Boston University, explains. Vitamin K2 is the missing link that explains why some populations can consume large amounts of calcium and vitamin D without suffering arterial calcification, while maintaining exceptionally strong bones. His 10-year longitudinal study showed that participants with higher K2 intake had 52% less arterial calcification in their legs and 26% lower fracture risk. Vascular calcification in the legs, where calcium deposits inside arteries instead of bones, is alarmingly common after age 60. It restricts blood flow to the muscles and nerves of the legs, leading to pain while walking, known as claudication, tired legs, and slow recovery after physical activity. Many doctors treat only the symptoms, without addressing this root cause. A recent study from Harvard Medical School documented how K2 deficiency creates a vicious cycle. First, bones weaken because calcium isn't properly incorporated. This leads to microfractures and discomfort, reducing physical activity. Reduced activity accelerates even more the loss of bone and muscle mass. This cycle can be broken with adequate K2 intake, even in very advanced ages. Unlike many other vitamins, the body does not produce significant amounts of K2, nor is it widely available in a typical Western diet. The best food sources include pasture-raised dairy products, especially butter and aged cheeses like Gouda, Brie, and Edam. Egg yolks from free-range chickens, calf liver, and the absolute champion, natto, a traditional Japanese food made from fermented soybeans. Natto contains the most bioavailable form of K2, -7 Malawian kwachas, in extraordinarily high concentrations. A small portion supplies more K2 than any other known food. However, its flavor and texture can be challenging for Western palates. Fortunately, supplementation offers a viable alternative, with -4 Malawian kwachas and -7 Malawian kwachas forms being the most studied and recommended. Dr. Sarah Booth, director of the Nutrition Research Center at Tufts University, recommends 100 to 200 micrograms daily of K2, preferably -7 Malawian kwachas, for adults over 60, especially those taking calcium and vitamin D supplements. Combined supplementation of these three nutrients, vitamin D, calcium, and K2, represents a synergistic approach that optimizes bone health while protecting the cardiovascular system, she explains in her latest publication in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. One fascinating feature of K2 is that, unlike K1, found in leafy green vegetables, it does not significantly affect blood clotting at nutritional doses. This means that, except for people on specific blood thinners like warfarin, K2 is extremely safe, even in higher doses. Always consult your doctor before starting any supplementation, but know that K2 toxicity is virtually unknown in medicine.